Death Row didn't fall overnight. It collapsed in slow motion. DrDre walking out, Tupac being shot and killed, Snoop Dogg fear for his life, and the man who was gonna save him wasn't from LA, he was from the South. This is the story of how the most powerful label in hip-hop burned from the inside. It's your host from the West Coast, Nate Kusher. Let's get into it.
Everybody's gonna be happy on Death Row.
By 1995, Death Row Records was untouchable. The biggest artists, the biggest hits, and the biggest cultural footprint in hip-hop. But inside of that building, it wasn't a label anymore. It became a battlefield, a mirror of the streets. Studio sessions turned into shouting matches. Money was moving, but nobody knew where. Gang politics was bleeding into the music tough. And Suge Knight ran the label with fear, loyalty, and intimidation. DrDre watched the empire he built turn into something he couldn't control. He wasn't sleeping. He didn't feel safe when he went to the studio. Therefore, he wasn't inspired to make any more music. That moment, Dre realized he had to leave, and it wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was quiet. A man walking away from chaos to save his legacy. When Dre left Death Row Records, the foundation cracked. With DrDre now gone, Tupac was the engine of Death Row. He recorded faster than anyone in the industry. He would film movies during the day and make hit records by night. But the pressure around Tupac was different. The street politics, the beef, the paranoia, the feeling that something was coming.
Complications from several bullet wounds sustained Saturday night, September 7th. He was 25 years old. Shakur was shot four times.
By September 7th, 1996 in Las Vegas, the night that changed hip-hop forever, Tupac was shot. Death Row didn't just lose an artist, it lost its heartbeat. Inside the label, everything was frozen. Suge was injured from the shooting. The staff was silent. The studio felt haunted with Pac gone. And when Pac died 6 days later after he was shot, the empire officially collapsed. Death Row without Tupac was the car with no engine. Where were they gonna go? Snoop Dogg was now stuck. His debut album Doggy Style made him a superstar, but he was trapped inside a label that was falling apart. Pac was gone, a close friend of his, and DrDre, like a mentor, gone. Suge was facing legal trouble, and Snoop didn't know who he could trust or who he was gonna turn to. The tension between Snoop and Suge was real. It was growing. The streets were watching, and Snoop felt like he was next to be killed or sent to prison. He couldn't release music because of Suge. He couldn't move freely because of Suge. He couldn't breathe because of Suge. Suge felt that discomfort, and he took it as Snoop being disloyal. Suge owned most of the cars and houses of Death Row artists, so he was playing with Snoop in ways that a new family man couldn't take much longer. Snoop needed a way out, but nobody escapes Death Row untouched. The man who saved Snoop Dogg wasn't from Compton. He wasn't from Long Beach. He wasn't even from California. He was from the South, New Orleans. No Limit Records, Master P. Master P flew Snoop out, sat him down and said, "Look, you're a star. Everybody knows that. You're Snoop Dogg, a superstar. You just need a consistent place to call your home, a safe place to call your home, a safe place for you and your family." The negotiations was bold. The move was historic, and the cultural shift was massive. It was rumored that the price was $2 million. When Suge told Master P over the phone that he already had a deal in place with Priority Records, Master P didn't blink nor hesitate, and he offered up an extra $300,000 to seal the deal. That wasn't business, that was liberation. Snoop Dogg left Death Row behind and joined No Limit, one of the most unexpected moves in hip-hop history. The West Coast lost a legend, and the South gained one. With DrDre gone, Tupac gone, and now Snoop Dogg gone, Death Row was just an empty shell. The lawsuits piled up, the FBI was watching, Suge Knight, the man who built Death Row brick by brick, was now facing the same violence that made him so powerful. Years of assaults, intimidation, parole violations that caught up to him. And by 1997, Suge was sentenced for probation violation tied to the 1996 assault at the MGM Grand when him and Tupac rushed Orlando Anderson. That moment marked the end of Death Row's reign. The boss was behind bars, the label was bleeding, and the streets was changing. The king of chaos, the bully of LA, was finally caged. The building that once created all those classic hits was empty. Death Row didn't fall overnight. It fell piece by piece until there was nothing left. But while Death Row was collapsing, DrDre was quietly building something new. A new label, a new sound, a new era. And one day, Jimmy Iovine handed Dre a demo tape from a kid in Detroit named Marshall Mathers. In our next episode, the birth of Aftermath and Eminem's arrival to LA.